Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Premier League show. Hope you're all doing well. There was Dean Lockwood just asked who's on tonight. Well, I'm your host, Kev, joined tonight by Luke and by Joe from Albion Obsessed. And we're hoping to get another guest on later on, but he's a bit busy at the minute. So fingers crossed he might show up later on. But listen, there's loads of content on the channel that we've covered, the VAR stuff and everything, all the fallout from it. There's loads of it there. Me and Gav had a good hour show last night where we went through line by line the transcripts of the audio that was released and discussed it at length. But I thought it was important to get a non-biased, an outside view, looking from the outside in, from someone whose opinion that I respect in the game. So that's why I reached out to Joe anyway, because we're playing Brighton at the weekend, but it's a double whammy for me because I'll get to ask Joe about the VAR incident and everything that's come out, even including today about the Jurgen Klopp's press conference. But I haven't spoke to Luke in a while. Luke, you haven't had your say or your fill in all of this. How are you? You all right?
I've had a pretty hectic week. Kev knows what week I've had. I've had some positive news. So that's sort of taken the front forward. I have kept my eye on what happened. I remember watching the game and the statement and everything. When I saw the audio, when I heard the audio, I was like, you could have put clown music with that whole thing, and that would have been the perfect representation to what I heard. Just a bunch of people had no idea what they're doing, and the only person that had any thought on what to do was someone who was not supposed to speak. It's like, are you sure you're okay with that?
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. Actually, the video technician was the one guy who he comes out of this smelling of roses because he's the only one who basically had a clue about what was going on.
Give that guy a promotion.
Or give him some competent people to work with, and he can just go back to drawing lines on the screen and watching football. Because I'm pretty sure he's really good at his job. But yeah, no, it was mad. It was absolutely mad. But listen, Joe, how are you? How's things with Brighton at the minute? I know Saturday was not a great day for you, but those kind of days can happen in football. But how are you in general? How's things? I haven't spoke to you or not.
Yeah, things personally are okay. Things Brighton-wise, last couple of results haven't been okay. Losing to Chelsea in their World Cup final isn't fun. Seeing all their responses online,
Chelsea's hilarious.
They absolutely love it that they beat us. But energy drink cup and all that, I'm not overly bothered. The one I'm bothered about is the Aston Villa result. Not only because we lost 6-1, but it looks like we've lost Purvis Estupiñán for at least a month. And we don't have another natural left back in the squad. So,
you do have someone in the squad who knows how to play the role, though.
James Milner.
Lamptey.
Jarrett Lamptey. Lamptey's done well there. Very, very well. Played very well Old Trafford in that position. Igor can play there as well. I've heard De Zerbi say. So, it's just a matter of wait and see what happens. We've got a lot of fixtures. October is absolutely stacked for us.
Yeah. Your next 4 fixtures, if you want to tell the people in the chat, because they probably won't be following it as closely as what I have in the last few weeks. But what are your next 4 fixtures?
So I believe it's Marseille, Liverpool, Man City, Ajax.
How bad?
Oh, wow.
How bad? In all fairness, when you
But these are the games you want to play. These are the games you want to see your team do well in, and over the last year and a half, we've been defying the odds and getting really good results out of these types of games. So I'm looking forward to it as much as I'm anxious for it. And it starts tomorrow.
Yeah. Thor, we're definitely going to be coming to that in a second.
I'm starring all the comments regarding it. The comments regarding it.
Yeah, guys, we know that Klopp's press conference today was...
What happened? Don't know what happened.
Well, funny you should say that, because I actually have the transcript of it. I'm not reading all of it, but I am going to read a bit of it, where he says the audio didn't change And the audio didn't change it at all because I was not really interested in why things happened because I saw the outcome. I saw a goal we scored that didn't count. So I was not waiting for the audio and then sitting there hoping to find out how it could could this happen. What I want to say is it's really important that as big as football is and as important as football is to us, that we really deal with it in a proper way. And I mean that all the people involved, on-field ref, linesman, fourth official, and now especially the case with the VAR, that they didn't do this on purpose. And we should not forget this. Yes, it was a mistake. It was an obvious mistake. And I think there would have been solutions for it afterwards. And I can say immediately, even probably some people don't want me to say, but as a manager of Liverpool, not as a manager of Liverpool, important to stress that, not as a manager of Liverpool so much, but more as a football person, I think the outcome should be a replay. That's how it is. Probably won't happen. We've all seen that line that Klopp demands a replay.
Hook,
that line that everyone has gone with. And look, I love the bones of the man. I disagree with him on that.
100%.
I agree with him on every single thing that he made, every single point that he made in his press conference about the solutions should be found in game. If this happens again, IFAB need to have a system in place so that the correct decision can be brought to bear. But look, Luke, first and foremost, Jurgen Klopp comes out and says in a personal capacity, he thinks it should be a replay. What do you think?
Sorry, Jurgen. I think you're on your own on this one. It shouldn't be a replay because you're opening up a Pandora's box that I don't think people would want to have open. Because I think there's loopholes. Like if UEFA got involved, there's a possibility that it could happen. If you did this for this game, any other dodgy decision, like if Brighton lost to Liverpool because the same thing, Brighton would be going, well, I want a rematch.
We had exactly the same thing last season against Palace.
Yeah, like every apology that PGMOL has written out, the Klopp can go, I want a rematch. Because you've just admitted that you've just screwed us over, so now I want a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be stuck in this endless rematch.
Yeah.
And where there'll never be a conclusive ending, because there'll probably be a mistake in every rematch. You're then going to be clogging up an already clogged up fixture schedule. For me, it shouldn't happen. I get why Klopp has said it. He said it because to keep it in the media, because things are starting to die down a little bit. I don't know if not you've seen the article from the Daily Telegraph. I've not bothered to read it all because I'm not paying for it, saying that Darren England won't ref any more of Liverpool's games this season, and that the VAR protocol will be basically it will still stay the same. Just have to make sure you have to double check that you know what you're doing. So apart from that, nothing's really changed. Because the ref's not going to be influencing. Well, influencing is probably not the correct word, but he's not going to be involved in reffing our games for the rest of the season, and that's already upset fans about. Oh, Liverpool have got this ref not reffing their games. Chelsea fans are going, I want Anthony Taylor banned and stuff like that. And Arsenal literally got Lee Mason sacked last season because he forgot to draw the lines. Forgot to draw the lines and he was sacked. And then got brought back in the back door to teach them how to use VAR, which is ironic.
Madge makes a point. It doesn't matter what Klopp says. Some journalists and fans will distort and exaggerate. I'm glad he was honest. And he was honest. You know, it's he said what he thought, and he's probably been sat on it for 3 or 4 days and realized, look, I've got to address this. And he addressed it, and that's his opinion, and he's perfectly entitled to it. The man has been in football for 50 years, and he's earned his stripes to be able to say what he wants to say. Joe, from the outside looking in, when you we'll rewind it back to when the incident happened. Did you watch the game?
I didn't watch the game, no. But
you saw the
aftermath.
incident. You've seen the incident since. What did you think of it when you first saw it, or when you first started to see it? Because it must have started dripping through that something big had happened.
Yeah, at first it was the still image, and people saying, "Why has the lines not been drawn?" And then you're zooming in. You don't even have to zoom in, like, to see what the decision should have been. And because I wasn't watching the game, it was sort of out of context, so I was a little bit like, just scroll past it, and then all the noise starts, and you're thinking, okay, right, I've got to watch it here and see exactly what happened in the context of the game. And the more it unfolds, the more your head goes into your hands. Whatever fan of whatever club you are, you cannot stand there for that decision and say, thank God for that. Like, if you're a Tottenham fan, you're not going to stand there and go, "Oh, get in there." In my opinion,
fans are celebrating, Liverpool grind, stuff like
it's
that.
absolutely ridiculous. It happens to their club. They are just as aggrieved as you guys are. And like I tweeted you guys the other day, I was fuming at it because we see it time and time and time again. And that's why I asked how you guys were feeling, because I just couldn't. And if that happened against us, and it did in a similar way against Palace last season, it is complete injustice, because those 3 points that could have come from that mean so much at the end of the season. There's so much riding on these 3 points. And by the end of the season, if you lose out the title or Champions League football by 3 points, you will instantly go back to this game. What if? That's why Klopp has said about the replay. Yeah. However, as you say, Luke, that opens a whole can of worms that you do not want to go down.
Same box as when we bought VAR and said it'd open up the Pandora's box. And to be honest, has VAR really changed much? We're still moaning about.
No, it's added more controversy.
It's just highlighting how much. I think people with the silver caps and the conspiracy theories and stuff like that saying this only happens to Liverpool. Only Liverpool gets screwed over by refs. I think VAR has shown as a whole that every club gets screwed at some point this season. Yes, some clubs it may happen to more than others, but every single club gets screwed. And when Mike Dean is coming out and saying, "Yeah, I didn't give that red card because I didn't want to get my mate in trouble." Excuse me? Excuse me?
What has to happen now is they absolutely have to make it so that the conversations that we are suddenly hearing now, because Liverpool asked for it, they have to be broadcast at the time for fans to hear all over the world, in my opinion, because then you get into a stage where actually the referee will say, right, let's stop the game, because this is for the whole world to see. Stop the game, let's get the correct decision and move on. I don't care how long it takes you to get to that correct decision, as long as there's justice, because that protects the integrity of football.
If you can bring back up Tariq's comment there for me, please. Tariq is making the point that ESPN reported on a US equivalent of PGMOL overseeing the USL in 2021, called for a replay of a game when the incorrect application of the rules was made. We replayed the game from the goal also. That was the precedent that was set by Howard Webb in it was a game that Paul Dalglish was managing, and I think it was the US equivalent of the second division. And they went back and they replayed the game from that minute onwards. Now, no, I understand people's frustration. I understand where Tariq is coming from, and I understand what people in the chat are saying that get the replay going and all that. I'm like, I didn't feel that at the time. I felt that it's football. It's you're going to have wrong decisions. You're going to have absolute horrendous howlers. And
can I take you back to an absolute howler that was of, I think, 2021, 2020 time, lockdown football, right? So Brighton played Manchester United at the Amex, and we pulled it back for 2-2. And at the end of the game, The referee blew the final whistle, and the players were walking off the pitch. VAR got involved. They reversed full time and gave Manchester United a penalty.
Yeah.
After ending the game.
Yeah.
That is,
The thing is, I thought Redmen TV put out a tweet yesterday, and I thought it was a great analogy. If there's 2 balls on the pitch, they'll stop the game. It doesn't matter where you are in the pitch, they'll just immediately stop the game, get rid of one of the balls, drop ball, and carry on. The guy who was in the VAR hub, I don't know if you've listened to the audio, but I'm sure you have. I'm sure all of us have. The guy in the VAR hub gave them an out yesterday. And I don't know, Joe, how would you feel if this is what happened as a neutral in all of this, where he was telling them to stop the game, repeatedly telling them to stop the game. This is a guy who was with Hawkeye for 4 years. He knows the system inside and out. And the Klopp's other point that he got made in the press conference today that basically got lost is you stop the game. The referee goes to the 2 coaches and says that we've made an absolute howler here. That goal that we thought was offside was actually onside. It should have stood. And you get an agreement from the 2 managers that Luis Diaz walks the ball into the net and the goal is scored. If that happened against Brighton, how would you feel? Given the same context of the game.
It's a legitimate goal. I think there was a similar thing where I think it was in a Leeds game.
Yeah.
A couple of seasons ago where they were incorrectly given a goal and Bielsa basically said, no, let them score.
Yeah.
Let them score from the kickoff. And they did. And again, it's about the integrity of the game. And if that happened and there was a mutual decision between the 2 managers, you couldn't argue with that. You couldn't argue with the fact that the referee saying there should be a goal here, because had they have come to the correct decision, you would have already been a goal down anyway.
Exactly.
So it doesn't change the course of the game either way.
Unfortunately, that part of the press conference has been completely ignored by the Gary Nevilles, the football bastards.
Gary Neville is a liar because it came out that that they said that we didn't really get the lines in, and no, apparently it has come out that they had that footage, and they had the fact that they could have shown that Diaz was onside, but they decided not to show it on air because it would filter down to the players. So when Gary's saying, we've not heard anything, I've not heard anything in my ear, he's absolutely lying because he would have been told something that they've made the cock up.
Well, I haven't seen any of that. If it's true, then there's got to be war. But I just think that the way that was the legitimate out that the VAR hub was trying to give the VAR assistants. But the frustrating thing for me, Luke, I'll come to you, was IFAB have basically ruled that out now. They've said that they're not going to change their procedures for VAR. And what Klopp suggested, and I think that was probably the reason why he made the statement in the first place, but it's been completely ignored, is to force IFAB into change. Ultimately, to help the on-field referees, because human error is going to happen. It's football. It's a fast-paced game. There are always going to be errors, even with VAR. Nothing is perfect, and nobody ever said that it was going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But with IFAB now saying that it's not, what happens from here?
Do you want the honest answer, or do you want the
honest answer? Yeah, honest answer.
Nothing.
Not the honest answer. What do you think happens from here?
Nothing. Just continue as you were. Make sure that you double check before you say anything. That's it. Nothing. And if the Premier League actually wanted to change, the clubs would actually get in a meeting and go, "Are you guys fed up with this? Yes, then we should go to the Premier League, because we are if we tell the Premier League we want to get something done, we'll get it done." Because it was the clubs that declined. The Premier League, as I brought up the comment here, that they declined to use the AI offside system that they used in the World Cup. I've watched most of the Newcastle PSG game. Offside, there was perfect. It's like it was almost teasing Premier League fans of how simplistic that AI system was. Boom, done, easy. But nothing's going to be changed. Like it'll all be swept under the carpet. Every media, Talksport, Sky, they've got their clip. Klopp wants a replay. Fans have taken it. Fans have ran because football fans are fickle. Football fans don't understand, and when it's their club, when this happens, they're gonna turn to Liverpool and go, "Oh, are you? Are you gonna write a statement and defend us?" No, because your club should have been doing the same thing. Arsenal should have done the same thing last season when Lee Mason forgot to draw the lines and sort of stopped their momentum in the title race. Like that's an Arsenal thing to do. Like nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change unless the clubs want change, and I don't think the clubs want change. I just think that they don't. I think Klopp's taking bullets for everyone in the league, and unfortunately, I think the clubs are going to go, "Oh, Klopp's going."
Joe, Darren England has been taken off Liverpool games for the rest of the season. You okay with Darren England rocking up to the Amex to be a VAR in your games in a month's time?
No.
After what you listened to?
No. So it changes nothing, as Luke's saying. It absolutely changes nothing. And it's just going to be pushed onto another club to be the mugs of the next VAR cock up and the next PGMOL apology. We had 5 last season. 6. Wow. An incredible amount. And I got mad respect for Liverpool for standing up and saying, actually, no, we want more from this. We want to hear what has happened and we need something done about it. Whether what's been done about it is what you wanted, but I have full respect for Liverpool saying, actually, no, this is not right, because we should have done that last season every single time, especially the Crystal Palace one. That one still outrages me to this day. We were about 4 or 5 points off of Champions League football, I believe, at the end of last season. So had those decisions gone our way, and again, that's the same with all games. We shouldn't have lost 5-1 to Everton. We shouldn't have lost 3-1 to Nottingham Forest, so on and so forth. However, it changes the course of the season, and I wish we were a little bit stronger, and we absolutely have to be when the next cock up happens, because it will.
100% it will. There's a super chat there from Adventurous. Give Liverpool a point. Let Spurs keep 3. Look,
I jokingly said to like a mate of mine that supports United, I was like, I'll take the point and go home. Like, give me the point, give me the goal, give me the point, and I'll happily walk away from this. But unfortunately, that does not how this game. This game does not work that way.
Yeah, look, I don't want it to. Look, I said last night at the end of the pod, Spurs have done nothing wrong in this. Spurs played the game that was in front of them, and they got their winner in the 96th minute through an own goal. And as far as I'm concerned, Spurs have done nothing wrong in this. Goals change games.
Does it not make you cringe though, Kev, when you see all of these like
ex-Spurs players, Spurs legends?
Not even ex-players, but like on the Tottenham YouTube channel, they've got all the behind-the-scenes stuff, and the players are coming back into the tunnel after the game, so bloody elated that they've won a football match. And it's like,
no, I don't.
Does it not? That would hurt me massively.
It doesn't bother me, because at the end of the day, you have players bringing their kids on the pitch and celebrating and doing laps of honor and what have you. If that's how they want to galvanize their team spirit, I mean, we saw it when Klopp took over, where he took the fans to the Kop and did the German thing, the way get everyone holds hands, and it built unity in the club. Tottenham's only interested in what happens with Tottenham, and at the end of the day, I'm not bothered about what their players do and how they celebrate games and goals and wins and what have you. Ultimately, look, they got 3 points. And they got 3 points. There were 2 unbeaten sides going into that game. And for 26 minutes, we had the potential to have the game of the season in that 95 minutes. It was all set up to be an absolute thriller of a game. And between the Curtis Jones red card, the offside, the offside goal that wasn't given, the onside goal that wasn't given, sorry. And 2 minutes later, Spurs go and score. Goals change, like I said, goals change games. If that goal from Diaz counted, we're starting off the game with 10 men with something to hold on to and something to defend. We'll never know how that game could have played. So it doesn't matter trying to second guess. We could have got a point. We could have still got beat. It could have galvanized Spurs to really go for it. And they could have tried different things. We don't know. We'll never know.
Ironically, the only thing that really annoyed me, apart from the goal, was Jota's loss, like head loss. That was probably the one thing that I was most annoyed about.
Yeah.
The whole game was like, yes, at their first yellow, not a yellow, and Udogie should have been sent off because consistency, when you're waving the yellow, then you should get a yellow. He should have been off. But let's be honest, Jota had an absolute stinker of a cameo. It was like he committed 5 fouls. At least 4 of them were probably yellow card worthy. And after you get a yellow, what don't you do is give the ref a decision to make. And he gave the ref a pretty easy decision, and off he went. That's what I was most annoyed about, was that incident.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is complaining about that one. On the Joe, I'll come to you. On the Curtis Jones one, I don't know if you've seen that or not. You've seen the tackle. Liverpool appealed the red card on the basis that VAR again didn't follow their own procedures. When the referee arrived at the screen, the still image of Jones's foot on Basuma's leg was on the screen for 3 seconds. And then he went and showed the slow-mo and then showed it in full time, in real time. I think he showed it in real time. How do you see that? I mean, for me, I just thought the procedure was all wrong. I said on the match day, at the post, I had no problem with the red or it being upgraded to a red, because I saw as soon as he goes to the monitor and they see where his foot landed, that's just going to be a red card. It's not about what you thought. It's about what happens at the end of the tackle. So, I mean, how do you think in general that was handled? Because this was before any goal or any offside. This was just Darren England getting involved in the game.
Yeah, I think they're right to call him over to the monitor and have a look at it because of how the tackle ended. But everything looks worse in slow motion. Everything looks worse as a still image. And because the still image really is out of context, because you see 2 players going for the ball, Curtis Jones' foot almost roll over the ball, no excessive force in the tackle either. So it's one of those where it can go one of 2 ways. And yeah, for me, it was dealt with probably not in a way that you would want it to. You would want to see a referee see the incident in full speed first, and then make a decision based on what he should have seen during the game. Not a slow motion image, because slow motions.
Okay. Richard's making the point there. The Jones foul was never shown at full speed. Richard, I'll take your point. Klopp actually made the point that if he was the referee and went to the screen and the first thing he saw was that still image, he'd have sent Jones off. And he said as soon as he saw the slow motion replay, he'd have still sent him off. But seeing it in real time and what really happened, he said, no, it's a yellow card. And I understand where Klopp was coming from in that. That's a very fair opinion to have.
With similar challenges, like the Gusto against Villa, Casemiro had a few last season where he just slipped over the ball and he caught the player in the shin, red card. So at least it's probably the only thing they've been consistent about, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I firmly believe Darren England should be fired for gross misconduct. And the assistant VAR should also go, because I firmly believe they couldn't handle the pressure of the occasion, and they failed in their duty to give the accurate information to the on-field referee. That will never happen. I can't read that, Joe. You'll have to...
Yep, Sky News have just...
It says Sky News, and this is the headline. Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp has demanded a replay of their Premier League match against Tottenham after a goal was wrongly disallowed.
Crap journalism.
I have literally read to you word for word exactly what was said. Now, the problem is you seeing a headline like that on Sky News, Klopp demands replay and blah, blah, blah. I read what his actual words were. And his actual words were, as a football person, not as the Liverpool manager, I think it should be a replay. But it probably won't happen. That's the be all and end all of what he actually said. Joe Wayman, how are you? Good night tonight.
I'm good, mate. Yeah, we
won. How are you keeping?
I'm all right, mate. We won a game of football. That's the main thing, innit? So, yeah, happy days.
Absolutely.
Exactly, happy days.
Thanks for coming on, man.
No worries, man.
You've had a cracker of a night tonight. You're up into the top 6, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
We'll come back to the Klopp stuff in a minute. How are things going at Leeds? How are you? I haven't spoken to you in ages.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good. Leeds were not the best start, but then we got a few wins, and then we got smashed by Southampton at the weekend. But I think we'll be all right, mate. I just think that the league's won. I think Leicester, they just can't be stopped right now, to be honest. They've got off to a flyer. They won a game 3-0 tonight, sorry. Ipswich are going really good as well. Kieran McKenna there, ex-Man United, of course. They're doing bits, but I think we'll be all right, mate. I think we've got too much, for the division.
Your man Rutter is actually, what's the story with him? Because look, when he signed for big money, big reputation, big hope, and it just didn't pan out. Now, how's things going for him at the minute?
Mate, he's flying. To be honest, he had quite a few offers from Europe. Apparently, Dortmund asked as well, mate, to be honest, because obviously he was doing bits at Hoffenheim before he came to Leeds United. He's a good player. He's still young. But Daniel Farker, having worked in Germany, obviously put his arm around him, and he's showing up, mate. He just looks a level above. So I think a year in the Championship does him good. It's same with Nonto and Co, you know. Get a year in the Championship, play men's football for, a full season, 46 games, whatever it is, and then we'll have another crack at the Premier League if we get promoted. I hope we do. I hope we do, Kev.
I hope you do too. The league is a lot better for Leeds being in it than not being in it.
True that.
Did you do the watch along on Saturday evening for the Spurs Liverpool game?
I didn't, mate. No, I was actually out. No? I was out.
Shame.
I know, right?
Conveniently out.
Yeah. Of all the fallout, it's wild, isn't it, mate? It's wild.
Well, you tell me, because you're watching a lot of football now. Leeds have played 10 games so far in the Championship this season.
Yeah.
In this year, you've seen VAR in operation in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You've watched 10 games now without VAR, without any influence from outside.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying the football when you compare the two, first and foremost? Because there's a lot of calls from people saying, get rid of VAR.
It depends, mate. Like tonight, right? Bamford goes through. Asmir Begovic looks like he brings him down. Asmir Begovic gets a red card. When you watch the replay, Bamford's dived. So I'm like, yes, keeper's been sent off, buzzing. But like from a QPR perspective, he's dived. So therefore, the keeper shouldn't have been sent off. And there's been occasions where in the early games, had we have had VAR against West Brom, for example, he's handled the ball. And they score. You're like, oh, if only we had VAR. And then there's been occasions where it's gone for and against. That's what I'm saying. I think, to be honest, I don't think VAR's the problem. It's the Muppets that are operating it. That's the issue. It's true though. Like
it is true.
Even with this offside thing, Kev. Like for whatever reason, the PGMOL turned down the opportunity to have that AI offside thing, didn't they? Which was used in the World Cup though, right? And which was used in the Champions League. It's used that automated like offside thing. Why do we say, we don't want that. Why? And why have we got referees doing the VAR? You could tell from that recording they didn't have a clue and they were panicking. And the one guy that knew what he was doing was a guy that wasn't a referee. Do you know what I mean? I think he was the VAR assistant or something, and he's going,
No, he was
sure this is right?
the video technician. He was the video technician.
Yeah,
you know, the guy who doesn't talk. You know, he's literally there to be seen and not heard. He's like the naughty child in the corner. There's a super chat there from Darius, and I haven't read it. At the end of the day, there's one thing that Liverpool has control over: win your games, don't play for draws, win by 2, not concede. Take away the ability for others to say always the victims. That thanks for the chat, for the super chat, Darius. Appreciate it. That comment comes from Simon Jordan on TalkSport. And look, anyone who listens to TalkSport knows the mantra of TalkSport. It's to create clicks, to create engagement, to be controversial, to say controversial things, to drive content, to drive clicks, to drive advertising, and to drive revenue. That's what TalkSport is all about. Anyone in this day and age making in the comments always the victim really needs to go and have a look in the mirror and then go and look up a Twitter account called The Spirit of Shankly and a few others who will put you straight on what comments like that mean. I live in Ireland. Joe lives in Leeds. Joe from Albion Obsessed is in Brighton, and Luke lives in Wrexham. We all know what that kind of nonsense drives, and you see it online all the time. It's absolute horseshit, but it's subconsciously there in the UK, where Scousers are blamed for this, that, and the other. Scousers are having reputation, and it gets thrown at them all the time. It gets thrown at Northerners for other things. It gets thrown at Southerners for other stuff. But in general, it gets thrown at Scousers, people from Liverpool, a hell of a lot. And it's got to stop. It has to stop. That kind of language needs to come out of people's dialogue and be better, basically. Broadcasters need to be better. But that's my 2 cents on that one. Joe Wayman, on this in general, you've seen the incident, you've heard the audio.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched the Klopp press conference today where he basically gave his own opinion on what he thinks there should be a replay. We've all basically come to the concern. I know, and I
do you think they should count?
No, 100% no.
No.
Look, at the end of the day, football is football. The vast majority of Liverpool fans that I know have said from day one, as soon as this stuff happened, look, it's wrong. It's bang out of order. Give us the audio. Change the process. I'd sack Darren England in the morning because he's just incompetent. But Spurs have done absolutely nothing wrong in this, and it is what it is. It's if the thing that's going to drive me nuts is if they don't learn from it. What would you change, or what process would you implement into VAR, the PGMOL, to improve this? Because the level of mistakes, Joe from Albion Obsessed was talking about the level of mistakes that were happening last year with Brighton. And it's continuing. It's getting worse. We've brought in a new guy in Howard Webb, and it's getting worse. Joe, you watch football for a living, and what would you do? Because you're seeing both sides of this in the last 6 months.
I've seen a few people mention in the comment the ex-players thing. I'm not sure that's going to wash, is it? Because can you imagine Jamie Carragher in there for, there's just going to be alliances and allegiance. It's just not going to wash. Whichever way, football fans are still going to be annoyed because we're saying, oh, well, he used to play for such and such and they hate such and such. And, so that I'm not sure that's going to wash. But I think what they should do is stop thinking England or the Premier League is the be all and end all and we're the best at everything. And maybe go to these other countries where it's been used better. Because I think we can all agree it's being used better elsewhere. You don't see these sort of problems on the continent as much. Or maybe we're just not aware of them. Some people might be able to tell me different. But I just think they need to learn. I just don't understand why. A simple case in point, and it rectifies the situation you had at the weekend. the AI assisted offsides. We've seen it at the World Cup. We've seen it in the Champions League.
See it tonight. Like,
Well,
even
yeah, exactly. So why did the PGMOL said no, we don't want that? Why did we? I think it was a year after everyone else took the VAR. Why? Because we think we're kingdings and we know best. And you know, I don't actually mind what Howard Webb's doing. I like the transparency with it, Kev. I get. Look, they all look after each other. He's an ex-cop. We know what cop. You know, it's all in house. You know, all that sort of stuff. Let's be real here. But I do like the transparency behind it. Has it ruined the? I don't know. You can't. They're never going to get rid of it. I don't think they should personally. It just needs to be used better. Like the clowns that you could tell, it needed someone to just say, right, because even the passage of play after it goes for a fecking throw, there's the perfect opportunity there to say, look, let's stop. Let's just stop. But they're all petrified.
They go, it's
they're all
protocol.
petrified.
All right, started.
Just come out of protocol. Do you know what I mean? Like no one. Yeah. If anything, they'd have got a slap on the back. Like we'd all be going, that is great that they've done that. They've come out of protocol, but instead they've shit themselves, and that's the issue that we have. We need actual, people who know what they're doing.
I agree with you. Yeah, well, how to do it in rugby and cricket is spot on. I think that the fans deserve that at the very least. Look, we've talked for 40 minutes. Joe's been on and had his say on VAR. I want to talk about football, and we've got a game tomorrow night against Union Saint-Gilloise. I've been practicing. Joe, you've got a huge game tomorrow night. Marseille away. The opening game didn't go to plan. Fair to say.
No.
What are you looking for in tomorrow night's game from Marseille, and how are you looking going into it?
So last season we lost 5-1 to Everton, and Roberto De Zerbi said, next week you will see the true Brighton Hove Albion, and we beat Arsenal 3-0 and derailed their title race completely. We lost 6-1 to Aston Villa on Saturday, and afterwards he said exactly the same thing on Thursday. You will see the true Brighton. I rate De Zerbi's mentality management probably one of the highest in the game. I think he's absolutely fantastic at getting a reaction out of players when something really bad happens. I hope, obviously, the Aston Villa thing is our one-off. As I say, we lost heavily last season, just the once, and then had a really, really good run of results afterwards. So all I hope to see is that the players have learnt their lessons, that we're not as naive, that we go into this competition and treat it as we should. And Marseille are a fantastic side, and they have players capable of really hurting us. So we have to go and play the football we know we can play, but also respect the competition and show up and make a stand and show people why we qualified for this competition. So I just hope that we see a little bit more of what we know Brighton Hove Albion can do at the moment.
Joe, can I ask you a question, bro? Do you think maybe De Zerbi's tinkering too much? Like he changes it up all the time because like the system's the system, and therefore we can just put anyone in. But like the lad that made his debut and that, do you think he's maybe doing too much of it?
I think what he's struggling with at the moment, and he said as much as well, when you lose someone like Moises Caicedo and someone like Alexis McAllister, you have to change your way of playing football completely. And in his opinion, we've been playing a completely different style. I haven't seen that much, but I'm not as much of a tactician as he is.
No,
I do think that there isn't the stability that we'd want to see in the back line. Lewis Dunk's been out injured. We have had a change of Jason Steele and Bart Verbruggen in goal. But that's because Jason Steele did so well for us last season. Can you drop him? I don't think you can. And when you bring in a goalkeeper for £16 million, can you keep him on the bench? Again, I don't know. We've played a lot of football. Obviously, had a lot of international players out at their countries and playing more football there as well. I think the squad maybe isn't what people thought it was going to be this season. And we've just had to sort of rotate a few players in and just see what our best team is. And I don't think he's worked it out yet with the huge gaps of Moises Caicedo and Alexis.
Well, one of the stats on this, Marseille have won just one of their past 16 Europa League group games, drawing 8, losing 7.
You just know it's going to be Brighton and Hove Albion to end that one.
Marseille have won just one of their past 15 meetings with Premier League opposition, 2 draws, 12 losses, with their most recent victory coming against Chelsea in 2010.
You just know it's going to be Brighton and Hove Albion that end that for.
Well, they got Aubameyang playing for them, I think, at the minute. I don't know. I don't think they're flying on all cylinders. It'll be a good game to watch. It'll be an interesting one for sure. But yeah, like you said earlier, it's a hell of a fixture run that Brighton have coming up now with Marseille, Liverpool, Manchester City, Ajax. You know, it's like I said to you the last time you were on the show. Go back 6 years until 6 years younger Joe. That, by the way, you're going to be playing blah 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 blah. And not just there on a preseason friendly.
6 years ago, I would have half believed you because we were in the Premier League and playing Man City and Liverpool. 13 years ago, Joe, would have called you absolutely insane. We were playing League One football 13 years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
And now that fixture list, I keep looking at it and I'm like, how? How is my little football club playing against these European giants? And people are saying that Brighton can compete against these European giants as well. It's insanity. But the real Brighton and Hove Albion is the one you saw on Saturday that lost 6-1 to Aston Villa. So there's a reality check for everyone.
Look, I'll tell you what, we've been there with Aston Villa and you having 2 or 3 deflected goals and shit happens, and it does in football, and the Premier League is cruel that way, and it punishes you. But I don't know, we'll see. Luke, we have Union Saint-Gilloise, and Thor put up the comment earlier on that Kevin McAllister might not be playing because he's lost in New York. I thought, cute. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to after the performance against Spurs. Right, and down to 9 men and backs against the wall, and the way we defended, and the way we played, even with 10 men and then down to 9 for 20 odd minutes, and the way we played and the attitude that we showed, I can't wait to watch us again. How about yourself?
I cannot wait. Just hopefully this time Liverpool keep 11 men on the pitch. That'd be more of an achievement than winning the game. Is just keeping 11 men on the pitch. I think after the weekend, I just desperate to play another game. Sort of put this whole.
We've got some injury worries coming into this one though. Cody Gakpo's out for a couple of games.
Yeah.
Darwin's carrying a knock. Trent's coming back, which is good.
At least Jota gets to play.
But
he gets to start. Him and Jones will definitely be playing because they won't be playing against Brighton. So they're going.
How strong do you think he goes?
I think he'll go. I think up
bear
front,
in mind, Union are top of their league and they're unbeaten.
I think we'll go fairly strong. I think it will be similar to the first game. That there'll be a bit of a mishmash of a team, and then they'll have like Salah, Van Dijk, McAllister, Szoboszlai on the bench. So if things aren't going Liverpool's way, then they'll bring them on second half to win the game, sort of thing. So I think it'll be similar to the last game away, where there'll be a few fringe players that Klopp will go, come on, show me that you deserve to play in the Premier League, and if you don't pull up any trees, then I will be bringing on the big guns off the bench to finish the job. So I imagine that will be roughly the same. I do expect Trent to start getting ready for the weekend, Kwanzaa to come in, Tsimikas, Doak to probably play left wing, maybe Elliott right wing, Jones, Endo, Gravenberch maybe gets the starts. Yeah, so I think it'll be a bit of a mixed match of a team, really. Just don't concede first. Just don't concede first.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Joe Wayman, You've watched a lot of football now. How do you see the Premier League go in at the minute? The way it started, the way sides. Who have you been watching? You say, yeah, you know, we're all looking and say, yeah, Liverpool are back. You know,
I like that though.
Back,
yeah.
We're getting back to where we were.
Yeah,
how are you seeing this stuff at the minute?
No, yeah, I have to agree with you, mate. I'm actually looking forward to a title race. I think we're going to have an actual title race this season. And I don't just mean, like Arsenal. I really like Spurs and what Ange's done. I think it's fantastic what he's done in such a short space of time. It'll be interesting to see if they invest in January because they are light still. If they get a few injuries.
Spurs have picked up a few injuries, like Solomon's out for 2 to 3 months. Son's carrying a knock. Sort of thing. Exactly. So the injuries are already piling up for Spurs up front, which is a bit concerning.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Will Levy give Ange what he needs? I think Mickey van der Ven's been quality. Really like him. Destiny Udogie, but Liverpool as well. Szoboszlai. Liverpool look really good.
Manchester United.
Well, that's just hilarious, isn't it?
I mean, look. Let's just have a bit of Manchester. Let's all lap at Manchester United for a sec.
Yes, please.
That game last night against Galatasaray, Onana. Can you understand the logic in bringing in Onana and allowing David De Gea to go?
No. Listen, I was saying earlier on another stream on the end of the day, a goalkeeper, for me, yes, exactly. The using the ball with your feet is secondary. Yes, it's amazing to have, as we've seen with the likes of Edison, Alisson, etc. Yes, it's amazing. But it's secondary. It has to be secondary to actually keeping the ball out of the back of the net. Do you know what I mean? So, but then again, Joe might be able to speak on this because who'd have thought that Steele would have been a Premier League goalkeeper? I genuinely, he was like languishing. I think he's Barnsley. He's been all over the shop.
Sunderland. He was on the documentary. If it was
there you go.
He can get a game.
And now he's starting week in, week out for Brighton. So maybe he can speak on it more than me. But I do think Onana's not great. And do you know what else is really worrying for Man United, which I'm happy about? Bruno Fernandes, they're going to end up with another Maguire situation. And what I mean by that is, right, nowhere near, he's much better than Maguire, right? Maguire needs to leave the football club in order to resurrect his career. But Bruno Fernandes is not good. Bruno Fernandes goes missing. He's poor. I don't think he's the right attitude to be a captain. And at which stage does Ten Hag, if he sees the season out, which I think he should, to be honest, because changing your manager all the time is not going to work. But if they do sack him, a new manager has to come in, and then they have this whole situation. Ultimately, for me, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is good enough. And they've given him a captaincy. So now what? When they want to improve, can they? I don't know.
Yeah. Joe, what do you think about the way the top six or the way the league is looking at the minute? You know, you're still in a healthy position despite the loss to Villa. You have 5 wins this season, I think. But with who you've played, who stood out for you being like, yeah, I was surprised with that, or I expected more from them?
I expected more from Newcastle, and it's weird to say that tonight after just seeing them spank PSG 4-1. I expected more from them to come to our place and give us some real problems because they are in a team everything that really, really hurt us. Strong, powerful, quick. And Eddie Howe knows how to frustrate us as well at the Amex. I've seen some torrid results, Eddie Howe results at the Amex, which I do not care to relive. So I was shocked by them, but as you say, this weird season has started just really, really strangely. Like, I think Newcastle smashed Villa, Villa smashed us. We played Newcastle off the park. So it's a weird thing happening that, you know, and anyone could beat anyone on the day, especially towards that top end of the table. And, you know, we were fighting with Villa last day of the season, all the way up until the end of the season last season. So they're very competitive. I thought Villa were going to fall off a little bit. I thought that they weren't as good. And I thought there were a few issues in the stability and the balance of the team. But they've definitely proved me wrong now. Um,
I think Diaby looks a
United.
player, doesn't he?
Yeah, very good.
Diaby
Very
looks
good.
a proper player.
Yeah. And we played United at Old Trafford. I was there, played them off the park. We absolutely annihilated them, and it was marvelous to see my football team. That was the first time I've been to Old Trafford to see us play, and playing in that stadium where so many historic things have happened, and us being the best team on the pitch. Yeah, it was magical to see. So expected more from them, and it is absolutely hilarious, just to add to previous comments, to see what's happening at their historically shite football club.
Well, I'll stick with you, Joe, for a second. I listened to a pod that you did with Dom, who's the Road In podcast, who's Liverpool fan. Tell us a bit about that and what you're doing with that as a whole.
Yeah, so what I've decided to do is a little side project called Behind the Badge, and it's almost to change the narrative of modern day football in how people look at football clubs, because what it is there's so much rivalry and tension between so many people, and we forget that actually football is just you loving the club that you're brought up to love. There isn't really, there shouldn't be hatred, there shouldn't be toxicity, and you should respect everyone, because at the end of the day, you are doing exactly what I'm doing, but with a Liverpool badge on your chest or with a Leeds badge on your chest. So just to have a completely open and unbiased conversation with different fans, and just really understand the love that goes behind their support for their football club. And as I say, that I try and be as unbiased as possible. It's hard sometimes because as a football fan, that the passion comes out. I've only done
the Crystal Palace fan that you invite on. That's going to be interesting.
I've only done 2 episodes so far, which is Brighton, which was an easy episode, and Liverpool, which was fantastic. Dom was absolutely amazing on that episode. And the Crystal Palace one, I've got a guest lined up, funnily enough, hoping that goes through. But, it's just about having a respectful conversation about football and why someone loves the football club. And that's not a hard concept for me to grasp.
So where can people find that?
So that is BTBFC Pod on Twitter, and it's called Behind the Badge. So if you want to go listen to that, the Liverpool podcast is out now.
I would highly recommend it. Dom is a really good guy anyway. We've had Dom on and talked to him a lot. He knows football inside out, loves the club, but he goes really deep into why. And it's a great listen. I'd encourage everybody to go and dig that out and stick it on your downloads and throw it on in the car when you're going for a drive or something. It's well worth it. And Joe, how's things going with the football, with the watch-alongs with Just Joe Football Show? How are you keeping going?
Yeah, going well, mate. Like I say, just trying to remain busy. Got the international break coming up, haven't we? Which is rubbish for content. So just trying to remain busy, my man. I'm looking forward to City Arsenal on the weekend. That'll be a good one, won't it? That'll be a good one. Could Liverpool end up top this weekend, mate?
Possible. I mean, for all of the drama and hullabaloo of last weekend, which was legion, I think we're only 2 points behind Man City.
I think we'd need Spurs to draw, Arsenal and City to draw, and us to beat Brighton by like 3 clear goals.
Yeah, good luck with
that.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, the mentality monsters are back. Luke, how's things going with the UFC at the minute?
It's been quiet. I've been fairly inactive for multiple reasons. So I'm hoping. I don't think there was an event last weekend, but there's an event this week. So I maybe do a video on the event this week. I think the next big card's towards the end of October in Abu Dhabi. So I'll definitely be doing some coverage and definitely a watch along coming on that. So yeah.
Cool. Listen, before we go, quick one around houses. Joe, Albion obsessed. Did you see the stuff for the World Cup? Where the 2030 World Cup's going to be? Can you make head and tails of that?
No. It's just another money-making decision that FIFA care to pump out, and it's stupid.
It's mental, isn't it? And Joe Wayman, England are hosting the Euros with
Yeah,
with
Ireland,
Glasgow,
right?
Belfast, Dublin, and Cardiff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no.
How you've
That's all right.
2028? It's not that far away.
Nah, it's all right, isn't it? As long as we don't have another fucking issue like we had before down at Wembley and that. Do you remember when everyone went down and it all kicked off and that? Like, I know people from my hometown who don't even like football that went down. Why did they go down? They were just going down for the piss up and that, and it just was an absolute washout on it. So we just need to behave, man. Like, that's the only problem. We need to behave. Yeah.
Well, look,
I want a World Cup. Do you know what I mean? It's all good having the Euros, but I want a World Cup, man. A World Cup. That's the
Yeah, I
one we
don't
want,
see this
isn't
as
it?
that special because I think pretty much the 2021 or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
2020
We had
Euros,
it. Didn't
that
we?
was pretty much ours anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey,
I think the
2030
only reason
World
that-
Cup. Woohoo!
the only
That's
reason
cool.
That's
that
the thing.
it's
If
going
we
to-
get 2028, we're not going to get the World Cup like
No.
straight after, right? It's going to be decade, you know. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I found it weird that GB in Ireland and Northern Ireland have done a joint bid first and foremost, but they're the only horse in the race. There's only one stadium in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland, that's being used, and that's in Dublin. I mean, I tell you what, when they announced the Europa League final was in Dublin, forget about hotels. I mean, all I'm hoping is if Liverpool get there, I'm crashing on Gav's sofa.
I'll see you there.
Whose server am I crashing on?
That's it. I think everyone is rocking up to Gav Doyle's house, and yeah, we're all kipping there. But listen, the Joe from Albion Obsessed, Joe Wayman, thank you both very much for coming on. Luke on the decks, minding all the comments and everything. Thank you very much, and thank you in the chat for all your comments and driving the show. And click like and subscribe and all that lovely good stuff on your way out. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.